And I just have a few questions. One, why does she think it was a great idea to park her vehicle and impede into a federal investigation? Two, why wasn't she home with her kid that she apparently cherished and cared about so much? Three, why is it when given multiple opportunities to do so, she refused to leave? Four, why did she only care to leave when she was being told, okay, well then you're gonna be fucking arrested? Five, why didn't she get out of the vehicle and just get arrested like anyone else with common sense? Six, why did she think it was a good idea to turn into a dangerous extremist and try to run over the ICE agent? And seven, why the f are we acting like she's the victim here?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your brother Wise. I appreciate you guys pulling up. We got to get into it. What happened in Minnesota? What happened in Minnesota is another classic case of mess around and find out. The incident involving the fatal ICE shooting of Renee Nicole Good, a 37-year-old mother of three, poet, recent Minneapolis resident, has sparked nationwide controversy. They're literally out there protesting in the streets. Now, let's be clear. Good is not a martyr in the legal sense. She's just not. She chose to confront federal law enforcement during an active operation, and that decision led to her death. Let's just keep it a buck. Federal authorities, including DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, she said this young lady attempted to use her vehicle against officers, calling it an act of domestic terrorism. Through local officials, the video evidence challenged that narrative. So I want to say this. I want to be sensitive to her family. Rest in peace to this young lady. She made a poor choice, made a poor decision, but rest in peace to this young lady and to her family. But from an objective standpoint, this situation could have had a very different outcome if federal law enforcement had been respected and complied with. Good's actions, they resulted in a deadly encounter that has now inflamed tensions across multiple cities. Meanwhile, JD Vance, our vice president, he absolutely unloads on corporate media's framing of this incident, pushing back against what he calls soft on violence narrative and defending law enforcement. Vance has highlighted that the ICE agent involved was previously injured in a violent encounter and insists that officers were acting in self-defense under the law, a point the White House has doubled down on as well. Now, I'm convinced that Democrats, they have nothing left but to stoke civil unrest among their supporters. That's all they have, because they have no other political playbook left. Their ratings or polling numbers are in the toilet. But when you see local leaders like Minneapolis Mayor Frey blaming federal law enforcement and demanding medical action, it's not just about a single incident. It's about a narrative that fuels division. It's sad, but this is where we are today. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it.
Somebody sent me a photo of a CNN headline about what happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline. I'm just going to read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Well, that's one way to put it, and that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say attack very, very intentionally, because this was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile? What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the President of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws. The President stands with ICE. I stand with ICE. We stand with all of our law enforcement officers. And part of that is recognizing that you people in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack. She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before, and everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you. Questions?
That being said, there's nothing else left to say, to be honest with you. But I have a few more clips to get into, but JD Vance is absolutely right. Corporate media sucks in the United States of America. Ever since the Obama administration lifted the Smith-Dunk Act, or, adjusted, or, adjusted the Smith-Dunk Act, corporate media has just gone downhill. It's terrible. We need these, actually, you know what? We need them to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to do what we need to do on our end to make sure that we bring the proper perspective to what's going on in the nation and around the world. Seriously. There's a young lady out in Minnesota that is a Minnesotan, and she is frustrated with the city and the state of Minnesota and the city of Minneapolis. She's extremely frustrated.
As a lifelong Minneapolis resident, I just want to come on here and say, I'm sorry. I am so sorry that everyone in my state is so retarded. I'm exhausted of it too. How do you think the rest of us here feel? Believe it or not, most of us here in Minnesota aren't psychotic liberals. We just want our state back. We just want the state and the city of Minneapolis and the Twin Cities that we knew and loved growing up. We just want that back. But these absolutely insane liberals, these communists, they are literally communists, have taken over everything. Do you know how embarrassing it is to say that I'm from Minneapolis? Because the only time that Minneapolis is ever in the news is because of something awful. Whether it was COVID snitch lines, or the George Floyd riots, or that incident that happened at the Catholic school, obviously the Somalian fraudster, and now, of course, the incident with ICE. I am ashamed to be from here. I am ashamed, okay? Especially because it didn't always used to be this way. So I am actually coming on here and begging. I am begging for prayers at this point for my hometown. I'm so tired, y'all. We are so tired. Please pray for us. I got out of Minneapolis just at the right time because I had moved back here after living in Boston for a little bit, and I bought a home in North Minneapolis. And last year when Omar Fateh started running and my property taxes went up 10%, I saw the writing on the wall, and I knew that I had to leave. Obviously, there was a lot more that came into consideration besides just those two things. Those were kind of like the tip of the iceberg. A lot of crime. A lot of crime happening. Amongst other things like essential resources just not happening. We live in Minnesota. It's a very snowy state, and the streets in my neighborhood sometimes weren't getting plowed for 2 days. All of this just horrible stuff was happening while I was living downtown, and of course I was paying just ungodly amounts in taxes. So I felt pushed out. So I had to move to the suburbs, and we sold our house. I loved that house. I loved where I lived. That was my first house. I didn't want to leave, but I felt forced to. And thank God I did, because we got out at the right time.
Hey, it's crazy, but there's a lot of people in this young lady's situation. There's a lot of people living in liberal cities around the country that are saying, you know what, I just can't. The taxes are oppressive. The property taxes are ridiculous. And we just can't afford to live here. Not to mention the people in charge are lunatics. I'm glad she's calling it out. I'm hopeful that there's more people out in Minnesota that see what's going on and it's just say, hey, enough's enough, man. Enough's enough. But I want you guys to hear from Tim Walz, Tampon Timmy, governor of Minnesota.
I've not used inflammatory terms of what happened. Well, I said this yesterday. We've never been at war with our federal government.
Dude's full of sugar honey iced tea, because this next clip, it's going to say the opposite. It's going to contradict everything that this dude just said.
And from here on, I have a very simple message. We do not need any further help from the federal government. To Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've done enough. There's nothing more important than Minnesotan safety. I've issued a warning order to prepare the Minnesota National Guard. We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed if necessary. I remind you, a warning order is a heads up for folks. And these National Guard troops are our National Guard troops. They're teachers in your community. They're business owners. They're construction professionals. They are Minnesotans. Minnesota will not allow our community to be used as a prop in a national political fight. We will not take the bait. We will continue to update you, Minnesota, as we get more information.
This dude literally just made a threat to the federal government, stating that he's ready to use the National Guard against federal officers that are there in Minnesota doing their job. Can we impeach this guy today? Seriously. Minnesotans, can you get this guy up out of office today? This dude's ridiculous. It's pretty obvious that he does not have the best interests of the average or the majority of Minnesotans. He cares about a small population of individuals, and obviously he cares about filling his own coffers. He doesn't care about the safety and security of the majority of Minnesotans in the state. It's flat out ridiculous, and the dude should be ashamed of himself. To be honest with you, this was a treasonous statement, in my opinion.
At some point in time, you got to ask yourself, what damn country do you want to live in? At some point in time, we're going to have to ask ourselves that question. And I think the time is sooner than later. Because again, from a legal perspective, don't expect this ICE officer to be prosecuted. I'm telling you right now. She was in the car, Renee Nicole Good, 37 years of age, protesting, blocking off the streets. ICE wanted her to move. An officer got in front of the car. Another officer got to the side of the car, and then she tried to take off. And in their eyes, the Christy Gnomes of the world for the Department of Homeland Security, and other folks on the right are saying, yo, they consider it an act of domestic terrorism because she tried to run over an ICE officer. It's not going to be prosecuted. My point is, let's not focus on that for a second, okay? She was wrong to drive off. She should not have done that. Or she should have asked the officer, I'm pulling over. Could you move out the way, please? Instead of trying to disregard him totally to the point where you're going to take off and potentially hit him, and he moves out the way and draws his gun and shoots through the front windshield and took her out. But it wasn't necessary. You could have arrested her. You could have spared the woman's life. You didn't have to kill her. We've seen plenty of incidences throughout the United States of America, historically and frequently, and recently, where people who committed crimes or people whose behavior weren't indicative of law-abiding citizens who were simply obeying law enforcement officials, we've seen them walk away alive. We've seen them walk away cuffed, but they walked away alive. So even though the law, from a literal perspective, might be on his side, the reality is that your humanity comes into question because you didn't have to kill her. She didn't have to die. But that's the country we're living in now. We're living in a country where some people, more often than not, are becoming lawless, and law enforcement officials are not just about enforcing the law while serving and protecting, but they're also taking lives.
Every time I think that Stephen A. Smith is starting to become red pill, he comes right back and he lets us know that that is everything. That is the furthest thing from the truth. He's absolutely wrong here. He's absolutely wrong. The first half, he's on point. The second half, he's wrong. Young lady was detained. Once they told her to stop and get out the car, she is being detained by federal law enforcement. When she decides that she is not going to do that, and she smashes the pedal and attempts to run over an officer. Now they say, she might have bumped him. This officer has the right to protect himself. And the last time I checked, a 2 to 3 thousand pound vehicle can be considered a weapon when you smash the pedal knowing that someone's directly in front of you. It's unfortunate that this lady lost her life, but she caused this. Had she not tried to block the road and play vigilante, had she listened to law enforcement, had she complied, she'd be alive today. She caused this. She did this. To be honest with you, I'm going to take it a step further and say, no, Tim Walz is responsible for this. Jacob Frey is responsible for this. Democrats nationally across the country are responsible for this because they're the ones on social media that have been telling people to disregard federal officers doing their job in the cities around the country. And that blood is on their hands. That blood is on their hands. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. And as always, keep God first, stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibe so